Here's a strange little experiment. Try, right now, to name 5 genuinely kind people from history. Not 5 powerful people, not 5 famous ones. 5 people remembered specifically because they were good. It's hard, isn't it? Now try to name 5 people who were tough, difficult, even ruthless, and changed the world anyway. That list fills itself in instantly. Sit with that gap for a second, because it's pointing at something nobody likes to say out loud. The world does not automatically reward goodness. It often forgets it. Sometimes it punishes it. And if you've spent your life being the dependable, generous, decent one, and quietly wondered why that hasn't protected you the way you assumed it would, then you've already bumped into the thing this whole video is about. The man who understood this best wasn't cruel. He was a heartbroken civil servant named Niccolò Machiavelli, who got tortured and exiled for his loyalty, and who spent his ruined years trying to answer one question: why do good people keep losing to worse ones? I'm going to give you his answer in 3 parts, not a checklist, a build. First, why goodness alone can't save you. Then the hidden mechanics of how your kindness gets turned against you. And finally, the part almost nobody has the nerve to reach, where be strategic curdles into something that quietly destroys the very goodness it was supposed to protect. Let's start with survival, because everything else depends on it. Movement 1. Goodness alone cannot save you. The prophet who burned Florence, 1498. A crowd packs the main square to watch a holy man die. His name was Girolamo Savonarola. And here's the part that should disturb you. He was genuinely good. A friar who actually believed every word. For 4 years, he'd been the moral conscience of the richest city in Europe, convincing people to burn their own luxuries in great public bonfires of vanity. He wanted to make an entire city pure. And on the 23rd of May, 1498, the same crowd that once wept at his sermons cheered while he was hanged and his body burned in that very square. They threw his ashes in the river, so nothing of him would survive. Machiavelli, then a young clerk, watched the whole arc. And his conclusion is the first thing I need you to absorb. He called Savonarola an unarmed prophet and noted that throughout history, the armed prophets won and the unarmed ones were destroyed. The friar didn't fail because he was bad at being good. He was brilliant at it. He failed because he assumed the world would defend his goodness for him. It won't. It never has. And if some part of you has been running that same assumption, that being decent is its own security system, that's the friar's strategy. And you've probably already felt the first cracks. Here's the blunt version, because survival comes before everything. You cannot leave a single good mark on the world if you don't last long enough to make it. The kindest person alive helps no one if they get crushed. The most generous gives nothing if they gave it all away too early. Goodness that can't survive isn't noble. It's just brief. The finite self. There's a hard, almost physical reason blind goodness collapses, and it isn't moral, it's arithmetic. Your time, energy, and attention are finite. Every yes is a no to something else. That's not a metaphor. It's a budget you're spending whether you track it or not. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote a whole essay on this in the 1st century, on the shortness of life, and his point was savage. We guard our money obsessively, yet hand our days to anyone who asks. And Seneca lived the cost of it. He advised the Emperor Nero, gave him years of patient wisdom, and Nero ordered him to kill himself anyway. All that careful goodness, poured into a bottomless need, bought him nothing. Even the great Stoic couldn't give endlessly and survive it. You know the airplane rule. Your own oxygen mask first. Drain yourself rescuing everyone, and you don't become a saint. You become the next person who needs rescuing. Movement 2. How your kindness gets used against you. So goodness has to survive. Fine. But survive what exactly? This is where it gets uncomfortable, because the threat usually isn't dramatic villains. It's the quiet, almost invisible ways ordinary kindness gets turned inside out. You've become readable. When you're good predictably, when everyone already knows you'll say yes, won't push back, are too kind to make a scene, you haven't become safe. You've become legible. And anything that can be read can be used. That's why you became the one who always covers the shift, always picks up the check, always says yes when it costs you. Not because kindness is worthless, because unconditional, automatic kindness hands everyone around you the exact manual for taking advantage of you. The doormat isn't disrespected for being kind. They're disrespected for being predictable. Machiavelli put it coldly. A man determined to be good in every situation, regardless of who's across from him, is bound to come to ruin among so many who are not good. He isn't saying become evil. He's saying that deciding to be good no matter what, in advance, unconditionally, is handing a blank check to every dishonest person you'll ever meet. The gift that stops being felt. Now, the strangest mechanism of all, and you've lived it without having a name for it. The more you give someone, the less they feel it. There's hard science here. In 1971, psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell described hedonic adaptation, the way humans recalibrate to whatever they get consistently. Whatever you give steadily becomes the new baseline. The good feeling fades, not because your gift shrank, but because expectations rose to swallow it. Brickman's later research on lottery winners and accident survivors found the same thing. We drift back toward baseline after almost anything. We adapt to the jackpot. We adapt to the tragedy. We adapt to you. So you can help a friend move 11 times and be remembered for the 12th, the once you had the flu and said no. 11 acts of love, erased by one boundary. Machiavelli saw this exact trap. He said benefits should be given little by little so they'd be better enjoyed. Because a flood of generosity doesn't build gratitude, it builds expectation. And expectation is the soil resentment grows in. But here's where the cheap version of this lies to you, so listen carefully. The answer is not give less to keep people hungry. That's a cold, lonely way to live. The real lesson is this. If you give in order to be appreciated, you've built yourself on sand, because the brain is wired to stop noticing steady kindness. Hold that thought. It's going to flip this whole video in a minute. The mask and what it costs. You've heard the cynical Machiavelli line, people see what you appear to be, but few touch what you really are. Appearance beats reality. And there's a true version of that. Composure in a hard meeting. A surgeon projecting calm into an operating room, not dumping every feeling on every person. That's not fakery. That's being an adult. But I won't lie to you about the cost, because this is exactly where the advice turns toxic. The sociologist Arlie Hochschild, in her 1983 book, The Managed Heart, studied flight attendants paid to perform warmth they didn't feel, and found that constant surface acting is corrosive. Burnout, exhaustion, a creeping sense of not knowing who you are anymore. Wear the mask long enough, and you can fall into the gap between your face and your performance and not climb back out. The mask is a tool for timing, when to show softness, when to show steel. It was never meant to be the whole face. Movement 3, the turn. Here's where I have to be honest with you, because everything I've said so far is true, and it's a trap if you stop here. By now, I've basically taught you to treat your goodness as a resource, something to protect, ration, deploy for the best return, manage for your reputation. And if that's all you take, you'll become exactly the careful, defended, calculating person you don't actually want to be. Because there's one question that breaks this entire video. What is your goodness even for? Notice what I quietly smuggled in, that the point of being good is to win, to survive, to be respected. But the second your goodness exists only to serve your survival, it stops being goodness. It's just strategy wearing a kind face. The philosopher Immanuel Kant said it in 1785. An action only has real moral worth when you do it because it's right, not because it pays. A shopkeeper who's honest only because it's good for business isn't honest, Kant said. He's just clever. The honesty that counts is the kind you'd keep even when it costs you. And that detonates everything. If you only help people who can pay you back, you're not generous, you're investing. If you're only kind when it's safe, you're not kind, you're calculating. The strategic goodness I spent 20 minutes building quietly deletes the very thing it claims to protect. So which is it? Is your goodness a weakness to armor, or the only thing that gives your life meaning? Both, and you have to carry both at once. Be strategic enough to survive a world that genuinely contains predatory people. Pretending otherwise gets good people destroyed. And protect. at the dead center of yourself, a core of goodness that is not for sale, not for show, not for return. A goodness you'd keep even if it never paid you back once, because the day you make all of it strategic is the day you've got nothing left worth defending. The strategy is the wall. The goodness is what lives inside it. Build only the wall, and you've spent your life guarding an empty house. Which one you were saving? Go back to that square one last time. The friar's ashes in the river. 500 years later, there's a small plaque set in the stone where he died, and people still leave flowers there. Nobody leaves flowers for the clever men who arranged his execution. And Machiavelli, the supposed prophet of cold power, he died in 1527, poor and out of favor, his famous book unpublished in his own lifetime. The man who taught the world to win at power, lost at it. So here's what I actually want you to take. Not that goodness is weakness, that's a lie. Not that goodness is enough on its own, that's also a lie. The truth is narrower and asks more of you. Your goodness needs teeth, the ability to say no, to push back, to guard your one finite life. Refuse to grow them, and you'll be eaten, and your kindness dies with you, having protected no one. But the teeth were never the point. They're just what you build around the thing that matters, so the thing that matters can survive being out in the world. The friar was unarmed, and the unarmed get destroyed. Machiavelli was right about that, but the armed ones get forgotten. And Machiavelli, of all people, proved that too. So arm your goodness. Just never forget which one of them you were trying to say.